I'd like to call to order the regular Henry Ford College meeting, Board of Trustees for April 18th, 2022. May I have a roll call, please?
Trustee Berry?
Here.
Trustee D'Ambrosio?
Here.
Trustee Moses?
Here.
Trustee Petchkoff?
Here.
Trustee Thorpe?
Here.
Trustee Watts? Here. Chair McDonald?
Here. Next item, please.
Approval of minutes. Approval of the minutes of the March 21st, 2022 Board of Trustees meeting. Make any necessary corrections and move to approve these minutes.
So make a motion to move. Support.
Okay, we have a motion made by Trustee D'Ambrosio and supported by Trustee Berry. Are there any corrections? Seeing none, hearing none. May I have a roll call, please?
Trustee Berry?
Yes.
Trustee D'Ambrosio?
Yes.
Trustee Moses?
Yes.
Trustee Petchkoff?
Yes.
Trustee Thorpe?
Yes.
Trustee Watts? Yes. Chair McDonald?
Yes. Next item, please.
Recognition and acknowledgements.
Oh, good evening, everyone. Thank you. President Cavaluna, Chair McDonald, members of the board. My name is Brian Bagnell. I'm from Groseal, Michigan, and I graduated in 2010 from Groseal High School. I did attend Western Michigan University for about a year and a half and ended up dropping out because I was unable to adapt to the life and went into the workforce. During that time, I did gain a very diverse skill set that I was able to acquire through many different positions in the attempt to try to find my niche, and ultimately I began to realize the grind was not for me after a decade. The pandemic was a main part of that, had me thinking about what I was doing when I was sitting at home, not allowed to go outside, and I was working at a certain major online retailer, and those hours are tough. I was nervous about attending school again, but I felt more motivated to succeed to chasing a new passion in electronics. First semester here, I had achieved the highest transcript GPA that I have ever gotten, even throughout high school, anything like that. Was recommended to the honors program by my English professor, which was strange because that A- was never higher than a C in any other English class I had taken. I was also invited this semester to create a new virtual communications platform for the Honors College as well as the faculty who participate in it. We're trying to make it easier for people to reach out, communicate, and if anyone's ever used WhatsApp or just text messaging, it can get real cluttered real fast. We're trying to fix that. I'm currently pursuing 2 associate's degrees, one in electrical engineering technology, so I can get out in 2 years and start working in a technical field, while I pursue my other associate's degree in pre-electrical engineering, which I will carry on to a 4-year institution that I have not decided on yet. We're going to see how that goes. That's a couple of years out. Again, I would like to thank Henry Ford, not only for providing me the opportunity to grow professionally, but also for their passion to see their students succeed. I'm now pleased to read this month's HFC Board Acknowledgements. Congratulations to Dr. Hfc Altawil for full-time faculty member in the School of Liberal Art History. Dr. Altawil has authored the book, History of Arab Art. His publication is a seminal text that stands as the only comprehensive book available that studies Arab art and architecture from ancient to modern times. Henry Ford College freshman Anna Atherton, New Boston, Michigan, Huron, has earned the NCAA Eastern Conference Softball Player of the Week for the week ending April 2. Albertson hit for 4.467, 7 out of 15, for 4 games with 4 doubles and 3 home runs, 6 RBIs, 8 runs scored, and 1 walk. Anna plays first base for the Hawks. And the 5th annual HFC Engineering Club competition will be held on Saturday, April 23rd. 150 students in the Introduction to Engineering course will compete in teams to propose an innovative solution to a real-world problem. In addition, 20 students in 5 teams will compete in the Engineering Club Futuristic Home Competition. The entire campus community is invited to come see those and student projects. Located in the Student Center, April 23rd from 10 a.m. till noon. I appreciate the opportunity to be this month's reader. Before Vice President Diamond comes up here to share some exciting news, does anyone have any questions that I might be able to answer for them?
Well, Mr. Bagnall, my name's Russ Cavalluna. I don't believe we've met, have we?
I have met you twice, sir.
I was just going to say, you look familiar, but remind me where we met on either of those occasions.
Yeah, it was, the first one was in Honors Colloquium, the Climate Change Colloquium last fall. And then you came down to the new Honors Hub, and I said hi to you as you were walking out, and I was walking in to go to the Honors Hub because I was taking an interview for you, Rob.
Yeah, that was Friday, wasn't it?
Thursday, yeah, it was
Thursday
just
or
last
Friday,
week.
end of last week.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
just then.
And I remember walking by you thinking, I have seen him before, and I felt like that when I saw you just now, so I apologize. But,
That's okay.
That was an excellent segue to a couple of my questions. And I'm sure a couple of the board members may have questions, but they're always generous in letting me ask the questions first. And we have really impressive students, much like yourself, each month that do these presentations, so I appreciate your willingness to do that. But one of the things that strikes me as so exciting is that you decided to come back to higher education after taking a first swing at it. And two things about that. One, it is extraordinarily impressive that you're willing to take that risk and do that jump. But second, it's even more impressive to me that you're willing to sit here in front of a bunch of people you don't know and acknowledge that that was the first try didn't work out and that you're trying again. So I just want to tell you that it's very impressive to me, and I appreciate you having the guts to say it and do it.
I appreciate that, sir. Thank you.
Of course. And it sounds like you've had a good experience so far. One of the people you somewhat mentioned was your English professor who helped you contemplate the honors program. Who was that, if you don't mind sharing?
That was Professor Betsy Cohn.
Okay.
Yeah.
Professor Cohen's been here for a long time.
A while, yeah.
And she's got a good eye for talent. And a really crazy dog, which I don't know if she's told you about that.
When I was in class with her, we were on Zoom, so I got to meet her dog.
Yeah. I've seen many pictures of that canine. I haven't seen her in person, but so Professor Cohen asks you to contemplate the honors program. I was going to ask you how you like the new area we have there, and well, I was wondering if you'd seen it, but now I know that we passed each other. How have you liked it so far?
I love it. I've been participating with that whole reconstruction since the beginning. I think every single time we've had furniture moved or things from the old honors office moved over there, I've been there to help with that. I spend Tuesdays and Thursdays here because I work full-time in addition to taking 16 credit hours. So my Tuesdays and Thursdays I'm off, so I spend from 8:30-ish till about 8-ish here every day, and that was in that little office. I don't know if you peeked in there, but there's just a little desk, and it's tight, so, and I'm happy to have something much bigger to go to. It's real nice to be able to have everyone get in there and not really have to worry about disrupting a bunch of office space, because that was always a concern of mine too. Not like we're trying to be loud, but people are working, and try to respect that as much as you can. But you get more than 4 or 5 students in there, and it can get loud pretty quick.
Yeah. That was my next question. Was did you have an occasion to use the previous location? And it sounds like you did.
Yeah, I put plenty of hours in that little room.
Yeah, it sounds like you actually were helpful in moving the furniture and items. Of course, there's nice new furniture in your new space, but
yes.
Did you have a chance to know Dr. Dare?
I did not know.
Okay, all right. Well, the last question I have for you is, and you helped me with it because you just told me that you're working full-time, taking 16 hours. How's that going? It seems like it's really hard, and it probably was even harder during a pandemic. How's it going? How's the college doing? And then, what made you choose HFC? I mean, it's clear you're doing great, and you're feeling pretty good about the college now, but from Groseal, you had a lot of options. What brought you to HFC, and how's it going?
I don't know. I don't feel like I had a lot of options. I mean, if you're talking about distance, technically my district is Wayne County Community College District. A lot of the courses that because I was looking at four-year institutions too, and a lot of their courses register on what we consider here to be an intro-level course, and they kind of get you through. Like if you're taking a 2-year associate's degree program, they'll give you that first year of maybe remedial classes if you need it, but they don't have a whole lot to offer in terms of diversity of programs. And I was looking directly into electronics and electrical engineering. I could take some math there, but they didn't have any robotics classes or any programming classes directed around like industrial machinery. Getting that degree first is important because I'll be working with engineering marvels, for 3 to 5 years before, then I'll be able to move in and start designing stuff myself while having an understanding of how contactors and relays work, not just, okay, well, the drawing, it should work. It says it's going to work, but, it's not always that simple. What was your first?
So I was assuming that you had a lot of different options for your next stab at higher education. You mentioned that, no, this was the place that had the offerings that you needed, and feel free to expound on that more, but also, how's it going? You're really working hard in a lot of different ways. How's it going?
Yeah, Henry Ford, it was also in between work and home. So Wayne County's a little farther out of the way. Oakland's far out of the way. Monroe's the opposite direction. That's really all I'm kind of familiar with around here. Henry Ford even when I went to Western, it was an option that was provided to me. It was like, why don't you go to community college first? Well, I saw the four-year university and the dorms and the food, and I just wanted to go do that. My day-to-day schedule is tough. I get up at 4 in the morning every day, whether I have school or I have work, because that allows me to keep some sort of routine. That way I can, if I have time to exercise, I can exercise. I have time to eat, get the coffee in, make the hour drive to work, because I work in Novi. On any given week, I'm spending at least 12 hours in the car driving. That's not making me money. That's not studying. On a good week, I'll do 33 hours, and that's the most I can pull in because I have to take Tuesdays and Thursdays off. The engineering technology curriculum is mostly lab-based. Out of the, say, 20 classes, 25 classes we have to take, probably 19 of them are intensely, heavily lab-based. Like next semester, I have calculus and then 4 labs. So that's going to be that's going to be 18 credit semester. But I'm also in the layover point where I got to start knocking out some of those pre-engineering stuff if I want to be out of here in 2 years from now. So on my way to a 4-year institution. It's not a life that I would necessarily choose for anybody. It's tough, but I want to get it done. I want to start another chapter in my life. My grandfather was a teacher. He got his master's degree and he was a teacher. His other 2 daughters, one got a degree. She's doing pretty well. The other one got a degree and then went into the Army and then lived, not like a life of someone who has a degree would live if you were just, put that in that bubble. My dad didn't go to school. My uncle went to become an air traffic controller. He did pretty good for himself. But I just feel like there's this whole other world that I haven't even been introduced to. And it's like, these are the people that are solving the problems that, we just kind of deal with on the daily basis. I want to try to, see what I can put into that, whatever that table is, whatever that group of people is that are, trying to improve on our technology. I want to see electricity take off. It's incredibly cumbersome right now. We lose half of it in heat when we do be able to generate it. That's a problem. But, I believe electricity has the ability to move forward, and it's just how can we harness it and make it work for us in an efficient way, especially generating it. That's a big one. I'm not going to get into that, though.
Trustee Petlicoff. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Trustee Petlicoff?
Well, because he's talking about energy, and we have a IMP program that we are developing here. Have you been able to incorporate some of that?
By the time that...
Or will you be long gone by the time we have it?
Probably. It was kind of brought to my attention that you guys were starting to think about it last year in my climate change colloquium. The classes probably would have fallen under like an elective status for my degree umbrella, but they're just not going to exist for not my time here. And I did get the chance to meet the engineer for that, though. He came.
Hopefully you'll come back and tour whatever. I'm
excited. Like he spent a whole hour and 10 minutes talking to us about that project that they're working on here. And I forgot what he called them. They're like 2-stage or 2-something generators, and because I guess you guys had a boiler system for heating here, And, you lose a lot of that heat as it's going through the pipes around, and you can insulate it as much as you want, but these generators, in addition to generating the electricity for the water to heat it, to send it through the pipes, it also has a catch above it, so it recycles a bunch of that heat that is lost just from the generating process and puts that back on the pipes as well. So, I mean, it's not perfect, but it's better than, just wrapping a bunch of, tin foil or insulation around a bunch of pipes.
Cogeneration.
What is it, cold generation?
As C-O, cogeneration.
I was pretty cool. I didn't know such a thing like that existed. I thought that was pretty neat.
It was Mr. Pissarro, a new employee that this board hired right around the time you came to HFC, who upstaged me in that lecture. I started the lecture, and then Mr. Pissarro finished, and clearly he made a better impression than I did.
And one other real quick question. Since you started this process of re-education during the COVID pandemic, were you able to take advantage of any of the finances that were afforded to people who were kind of stuck in that place of looking to transition?
I was able to take advantage of one. That's that, I forgot what it was called, but it came from, I think it was that first bill that Biden signed in, the American Rescue Plan. I got
For workers?
Yeah, for work. I got 3 installments from that. I did get accepted to the Future for Frontliners,
Okay.
and then Michigan Frontline Workers, because that Frontliners rolled into that. But I still have a few semesters left of Pell eligibility, so I
Okay.
don't. It's floating with me, but I haven't been able to take anything from it yet.
All right,
'Cause
great.
It's a after grant.
After you've
Yeah.
used up the other.
The last
Right.
bit of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trustee Watts?
So you had mentioned that during COVID, you had that moment where, what was that moment, or can you describe that moment where you thought you needed to go back, or you wanted to go back? What was that?
It was actually in the warehouse.
What
when
warehouse?
When I was working at Amazon. I was that online retailer. I don't know if I mentioned by name or here anymore.
Oh, yes, we assumed what it was.
I was working over there, and there's they called them. I forgot what they called them. Anyway, there was this contractor who was responsible, the engineering team, and they're the maintenance team. Is what they called engineering. And I was working down on the inbound dock, and they have a flexible conveyor that allows us to drag it from truck to truck, so we can just throw boxes on there and it goes up the ramp. That thing broke down consistently, whether it was a pulley or whether it was a loose wire, because the Amazon employees took care of it, and the engineering team put their heart and soul in it when they fixed it, but it broke down all the time. And just seeing what these guys do on that conveyor, and it started me thinking about what else in this building they work on. Well, I don't know if you've seen the videos, but they use like giant Roombas that move the shelves around on a robotic floor. So if you've ever stocked shelves, you carry your pallet around with you and go walk down 10 feet, put the next thing in, go walk down 10 feet, put the next thing in. You get this whole, essentially a pallet of mixed stuff. None of it matches. It could be 1,000 single different items. And depending on how big it is, the system will bring it's just like a big Roomba, and it carries a 10-foot tall shelf with different size shelves in it. And depending on how many items you have in your bag, it will bring up and allow you to put those in the spot. When you're done and it's full, you send it on its way, it goes and stores itself. There are so many of these things on that floor. Technicians are the ones who get to work on them and fix them. There is a 8-foot robotic arm that builds 6 pallets at one time. There's a programmer that's responsible for that. And I've got a 3D printer at home, and you kind of have a little bit of programming knowledge to make these things work. They're really finicky. And I've actually printed out all of my own drone pieces, and the only thing I don't know how to do is how to program and wire it together. And that was another thing that kind of got into it. And everything in the electrical engineering technology associate's degree tree is all that stuff that I need. How current works, how electricity flows, how to stop it, how to time it, how to increase it. It's all, and I can't wait till next fall because it's all programming. I've done all the basics, and I can start programming robotic arms next fall.
I have one more question.
Sure.
So based on your obvious love of what your major is going to be, I guess, where do you see yourself in 10, 20 years?
What solidified the want to continue into electrical engineering versus just the tech degree was, for whatever reason, I found myself on Indeed looking for jobs, and then I guess SpaceX is doing a bunch of hiring right now. I'm like, okay, I'll look through, see what they got. Well, there's this one position called offshore systems engineer. And just like there's offshore oil rigs, SpaceX with their, their drone technology and their ships that allows them to land on their own. Well, those got to have radar systems and stations across the ocean to create like a mesh, like a giant Wi-Fi network, essentially, for them to be able to react. And one of the things that's on that is they prefer you to have 1 year of marine vessel experience. And if there's anything I've done long in my life, is I've been a boat captain for 21 years. So that seems like a spectacular combination of a passion/hobby and then a professional career goal. So I would not mind seeing myself as an offshore systems engineer at SpaceX in about 10 years.
And who would have known that even exists, right?
Exactly.
But he's got a plan.
Anyone else? Well, I want to thank you so much for coming and sharing your story, Mr. Bagnall.
Got it.
And I'm so happy that you were able to find success with us here at HFC.
And me as well. I really appreciate this place, and it changed my view on community colleges. I had a lesser view of it when I came out of high school. And I'm a little ashamed to admit it, but this is a great place to be. And I imagine the other ones aren't as bad either, but this is where I am. So this is where I'm at. So.
Feel free to spread the word.
I will, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
And Madam Chair, I believe Interim Vice President Diamond has a presentation.
Absolutely.
Good evening, and it is my pleasure to share with you some very exciting news and to invite some very special people up to the front of the room. Team? This is our roller hockey team, and I don't know if everybody knows we have one, but they have recently won the national championship.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Team.
We also
Keep coming.
come on.
It's like a team photograph. Go shoulder to shoulder. This way, face this way.
Yep, gotta face. So they have had 3 full seasons here at the college, and they've been to the national championship every time. This year, they were able to bring home the gold, right? They've got this great trophy that's been in existence since 1999, and it's my pleasure now to introduce the team to you. They're coached by head coach Rick Fenwick and assistant coach Frank Caligiuri. Got it. and pardon? All right. We have 2 stars. I guess in terms of the league goes, they're all stars, but 2, with Dylan Patnaugh and Carter Patnaugh. Dylan has led the junior college division in goals, assists, and points.
If I can ask you to raise your hand or give us a signal on who's who when...
Thank you. And we have his brother, Carter Patnaugh, who also led the junior college division in saves and wins. We have our star defensiveman, Spencer Morrison. Defensiveman, Nick Mangiapane. I got it. We practiced. Forward, Lucas Hill. Senior captain, Chris Greco. Forward, Devin Stroya. And this is our team.
Yay.
Having us tonight, and thank the team for all of the hard work they've put in.
All right. Next item, please.
President's items?
Thank you, Madam Secretary. I will be brief with you all because, if I go long, I may tempt the weather guy to give us more snow and have you drive home in the snow. Most importantly, it is my pleasure to tell you and my colleagues and my friends who are at the college a veritable three-peat of holidays we have here. To those who celebrate Ramadan Mubarak, to those who celebrate Happy Passover, to those who celebrate Happy Easter, I hope that all of you had an opportunity to not only celebrate those important parts of your yearly celebrations, but also if you had the opportunity to look at some of the remarks that myself and some of my colleagues have made about those holidays in our video series, you can learn about some other parts of our community and the ways that they celebrate. And of course, I'll just underscore that by saying the purpose of those videos is just that, to learn about those that are different than you and to become more interested in why and how people live close to us but very differently. Because part of that is the awakening and recognition that we've seen with hockey players and folks who've come back to us from Western Michigan University. So we can do that in those video series, and I recommend you do that also. It's also a special time because we've got a clump of my teammates' birthdays that I want to recognize. And a couple of these folks unwittingly couldn't be here tonight, so I'll say their happy birthday to them tonight, but I'll also say it again in May, Madam Chair, to get them as a smile. One of them is here, though. Dr. Gonko had a birthday at the end of March 22nd, and Dr. Nealon had a birthday just yesterday. And as you know, Dr. Nealon is a Christian, and so that must have been quite a momentous birthday for him on Sunday. Of course, there's probably no more important birthday than someone who can say they were born on April 1st. I'm sure there are more jokes than years to count having been born on April 1st, but the person that keeps the president's office in line and a huge staff of 2 has more experience and is just a really good teammate to me. And so it was exciting and joyous for us to celebrate with Miss Demetrio her birthday on April 1st. There's other cause for celebration here at the college. You may have seen that the United States Congress decided for the first time in many years to give what they're calling community investment projects. And that was a veritable competition of ideas for funding from the Congress. And if you don't know who Debbie Dingell is, you've probably been living under a rock here in Dearborn because she is everywhere. And it was a difficult proposition, but our team and I found her wherever we could and told her about some of the life-changing curricula that Mr. Bagnell mentioned and that these hockey players enjoy. And we were really, really excited and proud that Congresswoman Dingell was successful in advocating for the House of Representatives and then the United States Senate and then the President of the United States to develop a spending proposal for our college. And I'll just give you some context. That was a difficult proposition. There are almost 1,200 community colleges in the country we live in. And 98 of those colleges achieved these community investment projects, only 98 of them. And of those 98 that got community investment projects, I believe it was only 12 got projects that were $2 million or more. And of course, Henry Ford College was one of those 12 with a $2 million investment. So if she were here, I would say to her, I'm not surprised, you are the Energizer Bunny, but I am extraordinarily grateful for her advocating for us at the national stage on a $2 million investment for some of the curricula that touch on some of the things that Mr. Bagnell was talking about. And we're really excited. In fact, we're so excited we're having the Congresswoman to visit us here on campus at the end of this week, and we will highlight her support of our college and the curricula that $2 million investment will support. The next thing I want to talk about was something that you saw Mr. Bagnell and I engage on just a bit, and that is we're really proud and excited, and I was there last week at the new honors program facility. I really encourage any of you trustees who are interested, let me know. I will take you there and show you. In fact, I'll probably show you where they came from and where they are now. It is just fantastic, and it does exactly what you just heard this student talk about. It enthuses and supports these students who you hear instructors like Betsy Cohn have identified and helped see the path not only through success here at the college, but to being involved with other students that are as driven and as intelligent and as important to our community. And I didn't say it to him while he was up here, but because he's still here, I'll tell you, you do sense correctly that there is another sphere of perspective that you can achieve. Part of the reason you can do that is because you have just an indescribable amount of drive and wherewithal that I can just hear in your voice. But also, the path to that is a college education. And the Honors Program Trustees is a great way that we take people with this kind of passion and fuel and ignite it. And I'm excited to show you all what we've done in that investment. There's a couple teams that deserve some credit for that. One is John Setkowski's facilities team, and then I actually asked Vice President Reginald Best to take a lead in finding the space, which is difficult on this campus, to find the space, and then also oversee some of the construction that took place there, because there was a gift from the Ford family, specifically the Edsel Ford family, who supported that construction and move. And we plan to honor that family in the future. And I hope, Mr. Bagnell, you'll be there to meet the Fords when we do that. Last two things are just community announcements. One is the engineering club competition that Mr. Bagnell read in his acknowledgements, but I'll just say I'm excited to do that. The last time I was at that was with my children before the pandemic. And he got, my son got interested in electricity, and we bought him some kits to kind of see and understand how electricity works. I'm not entirely convinced that he'll be as interested in electricity as Mr. Bagnell is, or as successful at it. But my hope is to be able to be there. It's a great competition, and my understanding is it's at the Student Center this year, which is great. And then the last thing that's April 23rd. And then the last thing I'll say, folks, is on March 27th, we're bringing back again in person the Collage concert, March 27th at 7. April 27th. Excuse me. Thank you. April 27th at 7 p.m. And we will be honoring our fallen hero and colleague Rick Goward at that event because, as you know, were he here, he would be the one directing a lot of the music. So, any questions for me? Sorry, Trustee Watts, you caught me by surprise there.
Sorry.
That's all right. That is all I have, Madam Chair.
Next item, please.
Discussion items? President search, Chair McDowell.
Okay. Wanted to initiate a discussion just to clarify a few things and have a chance for trustees to ask some questions or give their experience if they've been on a search committee before, just to kind of enlighten everyone and share some ideas. And what did I do with my notes? Well, I'll get started by saying I know that I do want to limit this discussion to a focus on the search itself and not on the interim appointment. The interim appointment will be appointed by the board, and we'll be able to move in that direction. But tonight I want to focus on the search itself. And we're about to embark on the most important duty that we do at the college. And the work itself, not just the outcome of the work, impacts the future of the college and reflects on its reputation. And I know that we all know that, but this is the most important job that we do. So first I want to name, we talked last week about setting up a subcommittee for the search of trustees. And I want to thank everyone for the input on that. And so I have decided on the search committee, the makeup of it. And I would like to have Trustee Thorpe chair that committee. I would also like to have Trustee Berry on that committee as well, and also Trustee Watts. So that's the appointment to the committee. And the committee's first order of business would be to develop an RFP for a search firm. And that those are the professionals that kind of guide the process. And that's what they do. So I think that we may have, and I'm not sure, we may have copies of an RFP that was developed previous that you can use as a template to help you prepare one for this search. Now, are there any thoughts or questions or concerns related to that of the search firm? Trustee Petchkoff.
Just so for everybody's edification on looking for the search firm first, who will be helping us conduct the actual search for the parameters that the board has always looked for in selecting a search firm is one that would be able to handle a timeline that we would establish as a board, one that would be able to do a national search well and thoroughly so that we could have the best candidates drawn. So you would want a search firm that has the ability and has proven ability to reach out to a variety of ways to get our candidates selected and brought forward, and will help through the entire process. We also found it useful in the last search for President Cavalluna that if there's any additional needs, such as moving forward into helping with contract negotiations, could be a plus or minus. If they bring that to the table as well, we can conduct the contract negotiations separately as well. And so the focus in the beginning will be on getting the best for but having a balanced budget to spend that is going to be doing the process in and of itself. So I just want to make sure that everybody's aware that, and you will keep us updated as you move forward with the selection process, because you're going to have to interview those who come forward to do the bidding.
One thing that I would like to add to that too is when you're looking for a search firm, all those things you mentioned are absolutely correct, but you also want to be aware that the search firm knows when to be involved and when it's appropriate for them to kind of stand back and let the process happen. As specifically what I'm referring to is they should not have a role in I don't want to say selecting, but having any kind of bias towards one candidate or another. So I think that's important.
Yes, you are right there. You always want to make sure that you have a search firm that has absolutely no stake in the process other than to help us. We are the clients, not whoever they bring forward, but that they have good access.
Anyone else? Okay. Concerning the whole process, it's important that we're efficient and diligent, but we also have to be transparent and inclusive. And there are specifics when you are putting together, and I'm talking more than just the subcommittee, I'm talking about the entire search committee. There are specifics that the committee will have to keep in mind, and we can find out what those are. I know there's specific numbers of members from different areas of the college and things like that, so that is all in writing, and keep those things in mind. Is there any? Trustee
I still have, and I shared with, and I will reshare with Chair McDonald, that a lot of the old communications that we had from the last search, so that had highlights of the processes, and as we moved forward, I still have a lot of those, that paperwork available, because I don't delete. I have files like crazy, but it comes in handy once in a while when you're looking for something, as long as you know how to drag them back up. So I will make sure that they're available, and that then they will be shared to the full board as necessary if we have any questions about the process that we did in the past.
Okay. Trustee Thorpe.
2 items. One will be once the subcommittee begins interviewing, at some point we're going to need to know budget-wise what the number will be. If we've got a ballpark from our end, what we're looking for So we're ready to know what the cost would be with each of these search firms. The other would be, we'll need to identify a liaison with the college that will help us on the process.
Yes. Anyone else? Trustee Barry?
Speaking of members of the committee, I know we have always involved the community, and I know there was one search I was on where each member chose 2 community members to be on the committee. I think both times we did that. Is that something we're going to do?
We're going to want to discuss it as a board.
As a board, yeah.
That's why I'm putting it out there. So.
Yeah, I would say first, and this is my opinion, I'm welcome to feedback. I would say first get a handle on how many members have to be on this.
Yes.
And then we can kind of, because you want inclusiveness, you want, but if you get a committee that is too large, then it just is hard to manage and it decreases the efficiency of the process.
Just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree.
So what you're suggesting is at this point, every board member should be thinking of 2 people they might
Exactly. I'm
want
just
to
planting that
consider.
seed.
Yeah.
At least 1, possibly 2
Right.
community members.
Think of a couple.
Yeah.
My memory from the last time was...
I think it was,
And I had an assumption that it was just the 3 of us that were on the committee were going to be able to choose 2 people to join, but then we opened it up for everybody.
yeah, the full
So
board.
that's what we did in the last
Yeah.
search.
The
So
full
we'll
board
have to see
selected.
what we want to do.
Yeah.
Once we look at the makeup of the committee, because we want it, like Chair McDonald said, we want it balanced.
Yeah.
A good
We wanna be inclusive.
representation of the community.
Yes.
And members of the community that have a stake in the college and are familiar with the college. And
Sure.
so, absolutely.
And who can commit the time.
Absolutely, that is huge. And they have to be able to commit the time. All right. A successful transition must not disrupt the day-to-day operations of the college and, or the focus on student success, like we just passed the recent strategic plan with the focus on student success. We have to keep those things at the forefront while we're doing this other work. So there's kind of 3 parts to a transition. There is the exiting of the current president, there is the search portion, and then there's the onboarding of the new president. And all of those need to be somewhat coordinated. And in order to do that, so that it's not just you do one section and then you do it needs to be coordinated so that the day-to-day operations of the college are not negatively affected by the search. I think that's important just to keep in mind that we have to keep the college running smoothly. I mean, that's not our duty, but that the search doesn't impact what needs to happen with the students being first, and our goal and our strategic plan has to continue moving forward. And then when we do transition to a new president, we want to make sure that they keep those things in mind too, moving us forward. They will have different ideas and different goals, but we don't want to disrupt the things that we've already started during this process. So, any other thoughts, any other questions, anything to add to the conversation? All right. Now, with the members of the committee that have been chosen, do you want to decide on a possible first meeting date now, or just get together among yourselves and let us know, or?
I can send emails over to trustees Watts and Barry.
Okay.
So we can start trying to coordinate our calendars. But again, we'll need to know about the school's liaison.
Yep.
So we can coordinate that schedule, or that schedule as well.
Yeah, I will be in contact with you,
Okay.
Trustee Thorpe. All right. I don't see any other concerns or any other things to add, so next item, please.
Action items, citizen participation. Citizens wishing to address the board on agenda and non-agenda items for action who have submitted a blue card to the secretary may speak at this time. The board may not be in a position to respond to non-agenda items. Therefore, speakers should not anticipate an immediate response to their comments or questions. For the benefit of all concerned, do not mention the names of students or college employees. Please limit comments to 3 minutes. We have two. The first one is Ms. Lynn Boza. She would like to speak to the board about adjuncts to full-time positions.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
President Cavalhuna, Chair McDonald, members of the board. A couple months ago, I asked for your support in asking for data related to the number of adjuncts moving into full-time positions over the last 9 years. And I'm pleased to report that over the last 4 years, there's been an increase in this current semester, 100% of the new hirees have been adjuncts, 100% of the full-time tenure track hirees. So pleased to report that, and I'm hoping that that can become a part of the college culture, where if people want to move up, have the opportunity to move up. Recently, I've been at an AFT convention, and I had the opportunity to discuss this with, the other thing, two people aren't here. When I thanked President Cavalhuna, he said, well, hey, don't thank me. It was Dr. Nealon and Dr. Gonko, and they're not here.
They're both missing in action.
But put that in the record. So when I was at this AFT meeting, I happened to mention this, and I was in conversation with President Eric Rader and Jeff Morford and Sam Bozzi, and we did some brainstorming, and we came up with some ideas on how we can maybe, with the college's help, help adjuncts do the right things to move forward. I submitted a proposal to Dr. Nealon. So far, that's been supported. This isn't going to cost a lot of money. Might be a little bit of staff time and our union time, and I think we've got a little project underway. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, before you go anywhere?
Yes, you said 100%. What does that number represent? How many full-time faculty?
Geez, I don't have that. I think it was like 22.
I think
Okay,
we were
that
north,
is-
Yeah.
north of 20.
Yeah.
Okay, that is awesome.
I think it was like 22.
That should be blasted all over the place. Hint, hint. Yeah, no, that's great news. And you said the last 4 years it's been heading in that direction, so,
Yes.
yeah, good work, thank you.
And thank you for your support in that, too, because I know you folks were interested in that also.
Yes, thank you.
Trustee Thorpe?
Do we currently have any type of program for adjuncts who might have interest in becoming full-time at some point? There's nothing currently that is set up?
No.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you.
I would say, Trustee Thorpe, not directly, but I will say that the integration of adjuncts into the college operation is more extensive than I've witnessed in my own experience in higher education in multiple institutions, and it's better or equal to what I see in our peer institutions. By way of example, when we do search committees at this college, adjuncts are involved. When we do entire college-wide functions, adjuncts are not only involved, they're compensated for attending. So I think that is while not an overt mechanism in response to your question, I suspect Dr. Boza would agree that is kind of the culture that exists here that inculcates adjuncts as being part of the college, no matter their status, but also sets them in good stead when they have to compete. And it is a competition, and it always will be, to have that full-time position. So I would say, yes, we do have a very good relationship with the adjunct corps, and there are always things going on. In fact, I can remember 2 or 3 of your members, President Boza, on our strategic planning team that met in this room. So I don't want you to be left with the wrong impression, Trustee Thorpe, that there's nothing going on. That number 22, I can't remember. Dr. Nealon would say if he were here. I think it may be 23. I can't remember. And for the record, Dr. Nealon has an emergency that he couldn't attend to otherwise he'd be here. But that number 23 doesn't happen without the things I talked about, without them being at the strategic planning team, without them being at the State of the College, without them being on the search committees. So I would say the answer to your question is yes, there are some things.
And I want to credit my predecessor, Mary Beck, for fighting for governance and a role of adjuncts in governance. And that's actually in our contract, that we have a role in governance. And again, at the meeting that we were at, Eric Rader mentioned that we're one of the few schools that does that. I think Mary got the idea from a school, two-year college out in Maryland, but throughout the country, there are not a lot of schools that include adjuncts in governance. So that's something that we fought for, and so we're a little bit there. It's going to go a little bit further.
Just for the record, that was a very long process, and my colleague and I, Chair McDonald was part of that process, and I, for the life of me...
I was as well when we started.
Were you? Okay, sorry, yes, the three of us then. For the life of me, I couldn't understand why the pushback, but obviously politics always kick in. But yeah, that was a great thing that we did at this institution. And we're seeing the fruit right now.
Yes.
So.
Yes, thank you.
And real quick, I just want to thank you for recognizing the work of Mary Beck, because she did work really hard on this.
She sure did.
Yes.
She was passionate about it, and she paved the way a little bit, and you've done a yeoman's job taking over that position.
Thank you.
And I think it benefits the college for sure.
Well, thank you.
Next item, please.
We have one more blue card.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
President Rader would like to speak to the board about presidential search.
Hello, Chair McDonald, President Cavaluna, and members of the board. I'm not going to speak too long. I want to actually thank President Boza, because we were at this AFT meeting. It was a regional meeting that Randy Weingarten is doing with AFT locals around the country, and ours was in Chicago. And I always sing the praises of AFO, because AFO they're really a star in the AFT universe when it comes to many things, including governance. And so there are, I don't know of any school that where adjuncts are as involved as they are here, to our great benefit. So, and President Boza has certainly represents them well. I appreciate the discussion tonight about the presidential search, and I would just say that Local 1650 is very ready to be part of that process. Obviously, we will have a role in terms of the search committee, but also in any discussions leading up to that, we certainly would be glad to provide input. I myself have been here long enough now that I was on two previous search committees, including the one that resulted in President Cavaluna's hiring a few years ago, and then I was on the one previous to that. And so I have provided some input to the board chair about just some experiences that I've had over those searches. But we had a membership meeting today. Obviously, it's very much a discussion item among 1650 members, as it is, I'm sure, among every other group on campus. And so we're very enthused to participate in whatever way, be it not just the committee, but any other way that would help benefit the college and our students. So that's all I had to say. Thank you.
Thank you, President Rader.
I'll take on the empty chair.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Special consideration of an action item. Are there any action items on this agenda which board members or the president wish to discuss and vote on separately? If there are, we will exclude these from the action below.
We'll start with Trustee D'Ambrosio.
I don't want to exclude it, but I do have some questions on the first item, the CNC equipment that we're going to purchase. Is there anybody that can speak about it here?
Yeah, thank you, Trustee D'Ambrosio. I spoke with Dr. Nealon, and I asked him, and I believe Mr. Steiner, did he point to you?
Do we want to wait until we make the motion?
Yeah.
Of course, yes.
Yeah.
Let's make the motion first.
Okay.
Okay.
I will have someone ready to answer questions.
No.
Okay.
Okay. Were there any other questions, Trustee Berry?
Not a question, I just want 3 pulled for separate vote.
3 pulled for
Please.
independent vote? Yep. Trustee Thorpe, did you have your hand up?
It was the same as what Trustee Berry had mentioned.
Is that all? Okay, that's it.
Okay. Action to approve action items. Move to approve action items numbered 1 through 2, well, it's 1 through 3 as recommended, except for 3 if necessary.
Yeah.
So moved.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion by trustee Barry and support by trustee Mosick, was that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, we can start with the questions on number 1.
He already asked this question.
Okay.
Did you ask your specific question?
I had a
trustee?
couple specific questions.
Please.
So number 1, I see that we only had 1 participant, and I'm wondering how we pick out our suppliers to quote on stuff like this, because the other 5 that we pulled out to bid on this basically are not capable of providing this type of equipment.
Yes, the reason why we have 1 supplier is because Phonic Robotics has, with their educational program for high schools, community colleges, 4-year schools, they have designated dealers across the country with certain territories that support the educational program. There are a number of Phonic dealers who handle the industrial side of things, but for education, because it's more than just the equipment, it's also a training program that Phonic has developed. And the designated dealer works with the colleges for the instructional side of the CNC equipment. So in our particular case, IST handles Michigan, Ohio, and several other states. It's the only one that is authorized by Phonic. We went through the bidding process because the federal Perkins grant, the interpretation of the regulation has changed this year from previous years. In prior years, we could produce a sole source letter from the manufacturer that states the product is only available from, this source. Despite having that letter this year, we've been instructed by the state that we have to go through a competitive bid process anyway. So we send out a bid. I send out this bid to IST Ohio is our designated dealer. There are 2 other companies there that are also designated authorized resellers, but they have different territories. And then 3 companies are Michigan-based, Phonic authorized industrial dealers, in the hopes that maybe somebody would, submit a bid. But no, the only one was the only company that is actually authorized to submit bids for the Michigan territory.
Okay, my next question is, in your readout here, I mean, it's pretty vague as to what we're buying, and I'm very familiar with Fanuc and their systems. Is this a 3-axis, a 4-axis, 5-axis? How many tool changers are we getting?
It's a 3-axis system,
Okay.
and there are several pieces to this. It includes the milling machine itself, which is a training unit. It comes on a cart. It's a fully functional, operational. You can make products with it, but it's sized and designed for training purposes. Small enough that it can fit through a doorway, so you can move it from one classroom to another. It includes the milling machine, the cart, a Rockwell PLC controller, a conveyor that will attach to it, and an assortment of project kits and tooling pieces. And the idea behind this is that students in our engineering technology program will get experience not only on operating the machine, but in programming it. So they start with, actually they start with a design of a product, they program the machine to produce the product, and then they actually go to the machine and make the product. So they get the full spectrum of the design and production process.
Okay, so it's only a single tool changer.
I wish I was on faculty in this area and I could give you more detail. But I've got a complete list and diagrams and lovely color pictures of the whole process here that
Okay,
can give you more detail
I'm good.
if you'd like to see that.
Thank you.
Anything else?
I don't think so. Now, before we go on, I have a question. With the action items 1 and 2, we had it moved by Trustee Berry and supported by Trustee Mosip. I'm about to call for a roll call on those 2 items. Then, with action item number 3, that was pulled for a second. Do we want to have a different move by and supported by that one?
It'll be a separate motion, yes.
Okay, that's what I thought. I just wanted to clarify that. So right now for items 1 and 2, moved by Trustee Berry, supported by Trustee Mosip. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Trustee Berry?
Yes.
Trustee D'Ambrosio?
Yes.
Trustee Mosip?
Yes.
Trustee Petrikov?
Yes.
Trustee Thorpe?
Yes.
Trustee Watts, yes. Chair McDonald?
Yes. Okay. Next item for number 3. Just, I need a motion.
Do you want to read the
Yes,
recommended
we
action
did.
first?
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Just,
Recommended action, move to approve the following tuition rates. In district tuition, $108 per credit hour. Out of district tuition, $188 per credit hour. And out of state and international tuition, $273 per credit hour.
So moved.
support.
Okay, I have a motion by Trustee Thorpe, supported by Trustee Petrikov. May I have a roll call vote, please?
No discussion. Discussion.
Discussion, I'm sorry. Keep me in line, go ahead.
Before we really get to the discussion, though, the recommended action doesn't state when this would be taking effect and for what year. So could we clarify that as well, please?
Yeah, Madam Chair, may I answer that?
Yes, please.
Trustee Thorpe, this will be for the new fiscal year, which starts July 1. But the effective date would be for the fall semester of 2022.
Discussion?
Yes.
So I just wanted to reiterate my position on raising tuition during these times. I still believe that it's the easy option and we should do better.
Trustee Thorpe?
From our previous discussion, we had heard the years that we did a 0% increase, the following year they came back and asked for a 4% increase. Doing a 2% increase doesn't put you too much different, and that stops you from having to do a big increase. We don't know in the future if we'd be allowed to do a big increase. And I gotta say, when I come back and look at the numbers, we're talking for a full-time student over the course of a year, if they're actually the one paying, and we already saw that a lot of our students aren't fully paying the full cost, Pell Grants and other reasons, it's about $40 a year. To me, I'd find value if it's $40 a year more and be able to find a way. I can only speak for myself, but I don't view a 2% as a big change. Thanks.
Anyone else? Okay, with no further discussion, go ahead and have a roll call vote, please.
Trustee Berry?
No.
Trustee D'Ambrosio?
Yes.
Trustee Mosip?
No.
Trustee Petrikov?
Yes.
Trustee Thorpe?
Yes.
Trustee Watts? Yes. Chair McDonald?
Yes. The motion passes. Next item, please.
Board of Trustee business, acknowledgements of correspondence.
I did have a couple of correspondence from Chair Rader of 1650. that he, more or less what he spoke about tonight concerning the presidential search. I will send, and I told President Rader, I will send that letter to the chair of the subcommittee, Chair Thorpe, and he can share it with the rest of the committee. It's just some observations and some of his experience and some of the things. I served on the 2013 committee, but I did not serve on the 2018 committee, and his letter was beneficial because it kind of gave me a comparison of the two, and it brought back to mind things that I had forgotten about that happened in the first committee. So thank you for sharing that letter. And then we also received something today. I didn't see what it was. Was I the only one that received it? Okay. And I've misplayed it. Placed it.
It's about an upcoming ACCT event.
Oh, okay. And we all received that. And that's it. Next item, please.
Board committee reports.
I don't believe we had any. Next item, please.
Requests for information and/or future agenda items.
Trustee Thorpe.
Actually taking a half step back, and I'm going to kick myself for this later, but with committees, it seems like the policy committee usually wants to be meeting every single month because there's more than enough policies for us to review.
Yes.
Do we need to start looking at that for like next month and things like that?
Absolutely.
Sorry.
So we might as well just plan on a policy committee meeting for next month.
It's already on there.
Oh, okay, good.
Yep.
Any requests for information, future agenda items? No. Next item, please.
Board member commentary.
I see nothing. Quiet group tonight.
Madam Chair, may I make a
Yes, you
quick
may.
comment?
Absolutely.
I just want to thank this board for giving the administration the opportunity to try a new hiring process for employees that are paid less than a certain amount. It gives this administration an opportunity to move a little more quickly. You all have seen me communicate those out to you in compliance with the new process. I remain open and interested in your feedback, but I can report to you that hiring managers have appreciated the trust you've put in them and also the opportunity to move a little more quickly in a tight labor market. So I appreciate the board's action in that. And of course, as is always the case, we can change to suit the board's needs, and I hope it's working now.
Trustee Thorpe?
Before we meet again, students, good luck in your finals.
Yes.
And we will have new graduates. So looking forward to having a graduation ceremony in person for the first time in a few years.
Absolutely.
And for those of you who want to attend, please do. We'll have Congresswoman Dingell address the graduates in one ceremony and Senator Debbie Stabenow in another ceremony, and it should be great.
I believe that's it. Oh,
Future meeting dates.
oh, I'm sorry. Next item.
Future meeting dates, Monday, May 9th, 2022, B12 Board of Education meeting, 7 p.m. at the Administrative Service Center in the Frank Banshee Boardroom. And this was the addition. Monday, May 16th, 2022, Henry Ford College Policy meeting, 6 p.m. And then also Monday, May 16th, 2022, HFC Board of Trustees meeting, 7 p.m. at the Administrative Services and Conference Center in the Rosenau Boardroom.
And we are adjourned.